Hi friends, it's me, Mrs. Stiliano. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create your own pumpkin scene in the style of Yayoi Kusama. And we're going to be emphasizing foreground, middle ground, and background with our pumpkins. So the first thing that we'll be doing is we're going to use our ruler and we're going to create a line going across. Now we want to make sure that this line is straight. Okay, so it should end perfectly on one end of your page. You want the line to be kind of towards the bottom. You're gonna draw really light, okay? So don't press down hard because we're gonna have to erase a lot of this line. I know you can hardly see mine, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna be using a marker for the rest of my journey, but you guys are gonna keep with your pencils, okay? And your erasers nearby. So each table has 4 pumpkins on it. All right, and everyone will get to use all 4. Each of you is going to pick a different one to use first, and what you're going to do is think a bit about your order, right? So you might want your largest pumpkin to be the focal point, and then have the smaller pumpkin, and then maybe one like this, right? And then possibly one like this. So that includes all of them, and you want to make sure they're in the page. Now, you're not going to be putting all 4 of these at once, but you're just thinking about your order. So I'll show you another order. Another order would be maybe this one like this. You're thinking about which one's in the front, because that front one is going to be in the foreground. Now, when I do it this way, this one actually doesn't make it in the picture. Okay, now the ones that are in the background are going to be further back. All right, the ones in the foreground will be closest to you. That is the way it works, right? If you'd like to only have 3 in your picture, if you feel like it will work better with just 3, that's fine, okay? And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you figure out which pumpkin is going to be in the foreground, okay? We're using pencil only for this. So I've decided my little pumpkin here is going to be in the foreground. So I'm leaving the other pumpkins for the other friends at my table, and they could choose their foreground pumpkin, all right? So what's going to happen is I'm actually going to use a pencil for this. I know it's going to be hard to see. If I use a marker, I won't be able to erase, but this way I at least can erase. So what I'm going to do is trace that one. This is going to be my center pumpkin, the foreground pumpkin. All right, I'm going to grab my eraser in a minute. So here we are. I've got my first pumpkin. I know it's a little hard to see because it's pencil. All right, so now I'm going to choose one that's going to be in the middle ground, let's say, or the background, right? So my foreground pumpkin is going to come closest to the bottom of the page, okay? That's the one that's closest to you. It is in the foreground. So now middle ground and background are going to be, they're not going to come as low. They're going to come higher, okay, because they're back in space. So this is going to be one of my middle ground pumpkins, okay? So now for this one, what I'm going to do, you can actually see the lines through the oak tag paper, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace around. So check this out. Now when you trace, you want to have a real steady hand. Now I don't want to trace this part because it will make this one be in the foreground. That's not what I want. We already chose the other pumpkin as our foreground pumpkin. So I'll make sure I explain this in class as well. When I pull this up, magically you could see it's in the back of this one. We do have this line going through it. That's okay. That's going to be the table line, so they're not floating in space, okay? Now I said you could choose 3 or 4 pumpkins, all right? I'm going to keep to my word. You don't have to have 4. If you'd like to have 4, you can. You can also reverse these so that you see the stem goes the other way. Now, if you want to use the same pumpkin again, you can, okay? So you don't have to use all the pumpkins. You can use the same one again. So let's see here. I think what I'll do is put this one more in the background, and it's going to be behind this pumpkin. So I'm really thinking about this. Since it's in the background, it can't be close to the bottom of the page. It's further back in space. Okay, so I'm holding this down, and now I'm tracing. So there's a lot of thinking that's happening in this portion of the project. All right, we're thinking about the order and the placement of where we're placing these different items. So it's okay to change your mind. All right, so this one's in the back. You can see this one's furthest back right now. Okay, now let's say I did want to have 4 pumpkins. Let's say I want to be more ambitious and have 4 pumpkins. So I can do that. Again, I can figure out, I think 3 is a good amount, but if you're feeling extra ambitious and would like to put a 4th, I'll allow you to do that. So again, you could play with the direction of your pumpkin. If this one's going to be really like the most in the background, then it has to be the highest up. It just can't go any higher than that table line because then it's going to be floating, okay? So I think I'm going to put it here and I'm going to have it face the other direction. All right. And I'll make another example of this one with just 3 pumpkins so that you can see the difference. You certainly don't have to have 4. You can have 3. Okay, so now we know this one's furthest in the background. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of that line that's going through everything because it just doesn't belong. So I'm getting rid of it. Hopefully you drew it really light because it is difficult to erase lines that are drawn heavy. Now, if you still see it, don't worry about it. We're gonna be painting and the paint will cover up everything. Okay, so I have all 3 of those, and what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna trace them. Of course, you've put your name on the back with your class code because you would not forget a detail like that. And so I'm just kind of quickly going over my lines, but I wanna make sure I do it neat as well. There's going to be a lot with this project, starting either in our next class or today, depending on how much time we have, we'll begin painting these. So that's going to be for another video. And we're going to be thinking about complementary colors that we can use. We've learned that complementary colors are located on the opposite sides of the color wheel, and I'll be showing you all about that. And another type of color that we're going to be learning about is called tertiary colors, which is any color with a tiny bit of black mixed in, and what that does is it mutes it. Tertiary colors can look really very beautiful. Okay, so now I have all this, and what I want to do now is one more thing. I'm going to take my ruler, and what I'm going to be doing is making the lines inside my pumpkin. I'm going to use my pencil for this step, so I'm coming back to pencil. All right, and what I want to do is kind of connect some of the bumps. Now they might not all connect, okay? And we're gonna change these lines a little bit to make them look a little bit more organic. It's more about the idea of them right now, okay? So I'll show you what I mean by that. So another one here. So we know that pumpkins have a lot of bumps and rivets, and none of them are as perfect looking as these pumpkins here. All right, just want to show you. Now, hopefully you did this really light. Hopefully I reminded you, because what we're going to do is we're going to shift the direction of them a little bit towards the bottom. So what I'm doing is I'm going to erase just the tops and bottoms. Just the tops and bottoms. I know I'm probably being a little confusing. I don't mean to be, so I'll make sure I explain this really well as you guys are doing it. Okay, we're doing that because what we're going to do is round it so that it follows the direction. So this is where you can kind of come in and you're going to just feel the direction of the bump. So you see I'm making it rounded in those spots. You're drawing lightly. Making it rounded is going to make it look more real and more organic. Okay, so I'll show you some more. Now when we finish this, we are going to be going over these lines again with Sharpie. So I'll show you that. Taking your time here, you definitely don't have to go as fast as me. I'm sure I'll be pausing the video a lot, but you see what I'm doing? I'm just rounding the lines. My lines are a little bit sketchy, and that's okay because I'm going to be erasing them after I go and do my Sharpie step. Okay, I'm ready for my Sharpie. I like the way it looks. I think I'm going to put another little line right there. What do you guys think? This one's not perfect. The first line here, I'm just going to say it, it's just really not perfect. But the beautiful thing about pumpkins is that pumpkins are organically imperfect. That means nature created them imperfect. So if you look at a pumpkin, it's extremely rare that you find one that's actually symmetrical, like my tracers are here. So I'm just quickly going over these lines, and if you know me, you probably guessed what our next step's gonna be. And of course it's gonna be erasing them. Okay. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this project. It's gonna be a few weeks. We might go past Halloween, and that's okay. It does not have to just be like a Halloween project. Oh, one more thing. I'm gonna make sure I go over my table line. I have one there, and I have one here. Okay? Last thing, quickly go over everything. Hopefully you followed my advice and you did not push hard on your pencil. Okay, and again, even if you do see your pencil lines, it's really okay because we're going to be painting over all of this. Okay, and I'll just show you, get rid of all my yucky yucks. There we go. And that is it. And we'll be picking up with painting in our next class. Oh, I realized I forgot a line. There we are. See you guys later. Bye.